Hello everybody, welcome back to Fantasy Sports Review. I'm Phil Hargis. It is good to see you again. And this is an exciting time of the off-season for football that we have time to talk to you about a little bit of the other kind of football. And that football in America is called soccer. And to talk about soccer, we have the World Cup coming up, and we have two of the resident experts for Fantasy Sports Review back here 4 years later into the studio. Pitar Dimichev?
Dimiglesias.
Dimiglesias,
yes.
Dimiglesias. So that's Pitar Dimiglesias.
Yes, sir.
And Timmy Vafidis. Always good to see you again.
Good to be back.
Yep, good to have you. Good to have you. We enjoy your white t-shirt tonight. You have a lot of nice white apparel fitting in with a nice summer fashionable theme. Good to see you guys both again. How's everything going, man?
Everything's going well. Looking forward to the World Cup. Ready to take a month off from work and just get going with it.
Sounds great to me, man. World Cup I'm not a huge soccer fan, as you guys know, but I do get fired up for the World Cup every year. And, started looking at the games and getting excited about this. Like, what is it about this tournament that, just sort of, brings everybody in the world together to, watch soccer for a month?
Go ahead, Pitar. This is all you.
Pitar, what is so exciting about this tournament?
What isn't exciting about the tournament? No, it's like this. I grew up in Bulgaria, in Europe. And this is the one time every 4 years when the whole world just gets behind one event, one sport, and it brings people from all sorts of the world together. Like being from Bulgaria, I've been to the World Cup in the past as a spectator, and just amazing because you meet folks from all over the world, you bond over this one sport, this one game, you make friends forever. It's just the storylines, the passion, the excitement, the best players in the world, everything.
The drinking, the pools, Timmy, is this the hardest soccer tournament in the world to win?
It's the best soccer tournament in the world, so of course it's the hardest to win. Only 8 teams have won it in the 19 World Cups. You got your powerhouses out there that, are going to be there in the end again this year, I think. And so, it's a lot of the smaller soccer countries like, Algeria and Cote d'Ivoire and Japan. They got heavy tasks ahead of them,
So how do you guys prepare for the World Cup? What kind of soccer do you watch during the course of the year to get yourself familiarized with the players and the teams that are going to be pooled in this tournament?
Pitar is more along the lines of following the Premier League and the Italian League and everything. I'm more or less I follow the national teams a lot more. I don't really get into the whole club teams and everything, but I think Pitar can talk more about that.
I follow the Champions League religiously. The final's coming up this Sunday, and it's amazing because it's 2 Spanish teams, Real Madrid and Atletico Madrid. And to me, it's a great preview of what Spain is going to bring to the World Cup. It's great seeing these top players in the best competition just gearing up, hitting their stride right before this tournament.
Okay, so that's pretty cool. So they're playing this weekend. So will they be able to reset and refresh their legs and everything and be ready to go for the World Cup a month from now?
That's the trick. That's the issue with the modern game. These top players play so many games every season. At this point, domestically they play about 60 games. Then they also have the European competitions. They have the friendlies, the international games. So by this point in July, they've been playing nonstop for almost a year. So I feel as if some of the bigger teams at a slight disadvantage just because of how worn out their players are. Like Cristiano Ronaldo, he's the best team for Portugal right now. And he is coming off of a hamstring injury. So you have to, it begs the question, will he be 100% for the World Cup? And if he's not, then I think that's really going to hamper Portugal's chances.
Yes, it's got to be challenging to try to peak at the right time for these things. Like Tim and I run marathons. You run half marathons. But
I'm half the man you guys are.
I'm just kidding, man. But seriously, being able to attain peak performance for these has got to be definitely part of the challenge of preparing for these tournaments. Like you said, I mean, there's just so much soccer and so much money to be made out there. What kind of money can these guys win by winning the tournament?
They don't make a lot of money, and that is an issue a lot of times. So the interesting thing is, the players have contracts with their national team associations as to how much money they'll make depending on how well they're doing in the tournament. They make the bulk of their money from their club teams and from their sponsorships. So really, in terms of financial point of view, the World Cup and international competition is not at the forefront of what they're trying to accomplish. So that's another issue with some of these bigger players.
All right, so I'm sorry, go ahead.
That's one of the issues with bigger players. They're not as motivated, I feel, to perform in these big tournaments because that's not where the bulk of their money comes from. However, the only wrinkle in that is when they do well in these tournaments, it raises their stock up. So if you're a player looking to transfer to a bigger club, negotiate a better salary, this is your opportunity to kind of perform and earn.
Okay, so Timmy, I got to ask you this question then. Are these guys there to play ball or are they there to party?
I guess it depends what country you're talking about.
Yeah.
I mean, some of these teams that know they have no shot at winning this probably are not as focused as other teams.
Okay, well, let's get into the teams here. There's a lot of teams. How many teams are in this tournament?
32.
32 teams. So, and how are the teams broken up and how did they get there?
All draw. They're ranking, 1 through 8, and then those seeds get lumped into the groups, into their own separate groups, so that you're not combining two powerhouses. It's kind of like NCAA basketball. Your 4 number 1 seeds, you're not going to find those guys in the same bracket. Same with soccer here in the World Cup. Your teams like Brazil and Spain, their ranking is at the top, and you're not going to see them ever grouped together in the same grouping.
Is it a pretty fair way to seed the teams, the way that they do it, or the best that they can do given the circumstances, or good enough?
It's good enough. It's a little bit fixed when you break down certain aspects of it, but
It puts the smaller teams at a disadvantage. Like you could look at the USA.
Okay, well, let's get into the matchups here in a second here. So Brazil is hosting. When does this tournament start? This tournament starts on June 12th and it runs through July 13th. So you really do get a full month of soccer games to enjoy. I mean, it's pretty awesome. And those games will start. They're scheduled, and they haven't broken out to 8 pools of 4 teams. And I guess the best way to go about breaking this down is by starting with Group A and taking from there. Brazil, the host country, is in Group A. And they're matched up with Croatia, Mexico, and Cameroon. How do you guys see this bracket playing out?
There's one answer. I think we're on the same page about this.
yeah, I mean, Brazil hasn't lost a game on home soil in the preliminaries, I think it was, in 43 straight, I think that number is. They are a constant shoo-in to advance into the round of 16. I mean, you look at every World Cup they've been in practically, I can't recall the last time that they were knocked out of the group stage. In fact, if you know it, I don't, but it's been consistent. They're one of the most consistent teams. They're playing on home soil, and soccer is one of those games that, unlike hockey, home field, home court, it does matter. It's one of the toughest things to do is to go into another stadium in another country and beat that team.
And runner-ups, I'm going to go with Croatia. They're a solid team, and I just don't see Mexico pulling through. They barely inched into the World Cup because the U.S. did them a favor. The U.S. won their last game, and that kind of helped Mexico get in.
See, I disagree with you on that, only because Mexico is consistently, if you look at their last 5 World Cups, they've consistently made it to the group stages out of the World Cup. And Croatia, if you look at the European qualifying teams that advanced to the World Cup this year, they have trouble scoring goals. They had the lowest goal scored amount, in the preliminaries in the European qualifiers, and they're not playing well right now. I know Mexico has had issues with their coaches. I think they just got a brand new coach a couple months ago now again, but they're just constantly there. They haven't advanced past the round of 16, but they've gotten to the round of 16 in the last 5 World Cups. So I see them advancing.
I don't see them advancing with this team. They were dubbed the golden generation a few years ago because they did great in the Olympics. But at this point, I just don't see them playing well. A lot of their starters aren't really playing well club-wise, and I see that being an issue going to the tournament.
Well, none of it's going to matter because the team that finishes in second in Group A has to go up against Spain in the next round, and it's going to be one and done for them.
No, Spain, like you were just talking about before we got into this, they're tough, right? I mean, but they're also going to be worn out.
They're going to be worn out, but at the same time, they're the defending champions. They're defending World Cup and European champions. So they're coming into this with a lot of confidence.
But that was the first time that ever happened, though, right?
No, France in 2002.
Okay.
They had come off the Euro.
But this is the first time that a team has won the Euro, World Cup, and then Euro. So the streak will end, but they're good enough to advance.
I mean, all their top players, they play for the top teams. Barcelona, Real Madrid, Atletico Madrid. It's just a who's who of some of the best players in the world. So I see Spain going deep in the tournament.
Now, Netherlands last time was my pick to win the whole thing. They got pretty close, but they didn't quite get there all the way. Are they just as good, and will they be able to, will Chile or Australia be able to give them a fight there for the second seed?
Chile is a sexy pick right now because the World Cup is in South America, and a lot of people are leaning towards the South American countries, thinking that close to home field advantage for them. But at the end of the day, the Netherlands are too strong. I think that group is. I mean, it'll be an interesting game to watch the first game when Spain plays Netherlands, but at the end of the day, in that group, I think those two teams are going to advance.
And they have a great coach, Louis van Gaal. He just signed a few days ago on Monday a contract with Manchester United. He's a proven winner on a club level. Internationally, he hasn't been as successful. His previous stint with the Netherlands was a flop. But at the same time, this is a Netherlands squad that he led during qualifications, which won all of their games, drew one, and they had a very, very good goal differential. So they're going to be a threat. They're going to be a force to be reckoned with this tournament.
Okay, guys, moving along. So I think it's pretty much almost a consensus here, even though there's like a chance for some home cooking there with Chile. That Spain and Netherlands are probably going to be the two teams to advance out of Group B. We'll get to we'll consolidate all of our picks and show those towards the end of the show here. But let's move on to Group C. Group C, we have, I know this Timmy is very close and dear to you. We have Greece. Then they also have Colombia, Ivory Coast, and Japan.
I don't mean to sound like a homer here, but I'm only taking Greece to advance in the second as a second group team here because I'm Greek. But let's be honest here. If I was a betting man, I wouldn't be taking them to even win a game in this group here.
Well, Colombia is obviously the top favorite here. I mean, they have probably the easiest bracket here of all the 8, don't they?
I would disagree with that, but they will advance as the number one seed out of this group, I believe.
The interesting thing about Colombia is their star player, Falcao, he's coming off of an ACL injury in January, so the whole country is waiting to find out will he be ready in time for the tournament. Last week he Instagrammed a photo of him running and swimming, so the hope of a whole nation is on his shoulder. So it'll be interesting to see if he does not make it to the tournament, how well Colombia can perform.
Well, if he doesn't make it to the tournament, I mean, are they still going to have a problem advancing out of that bracket, though? Out of that group?
Probably not.
I mean, they'll have their work cut out for them in the next bracket when they got to go up against Italy or England or something like that, or Uruguay or Costa Rica. I mean, this is a pretty competitive bracket here coming up in Group D, though, isn't it?
I think so. I think this is outside of the group of death, which we'll get to in a second. I think this is one of the most loaded groups that you'll see. The three top teams, obviously Uruguay, Italy, and England. England consistently disappoints in the World Cup, and I think what we touched on earlier is, they have all these guys that play for these club teams, and when they get together, it's like the New York Yankees, if you will. When the New York Yankees buy all this talent, they pull everyone together, and they don't necessarily win. Reason being, you got a lot of different personalities that clash, and soccer is more of a team sport, I would say, than baseball, and so it really shows in tournaments like this in the World Cup.
I agree with Timmy completely. I think England will have a very tough time making it out of this group. Uruguay, they have won a World Cup in Brazil in the past, and they have the striker of Luis Suarez, who's coming off of a great season in England where he was voted Player of the Year. So they're going to be a force to be reckoned with. And it's worth noting that a European team has never won a World Cup in South America. So it could be the weather, it could be a lot of things, a lot of factors, but England will have to really fight they're going to struggle to make it out of Group D.
It's going to be quite a bracket there to watch, watching it unfold. I mean, I don't know enough about these teams, but it looks pretty competitive to me. Let's move, and this is going to be like Timmy, you just referred to Group E as the group of death. Why do you call it that?
No, I did say Group E. I said
okay.
We'd get to that later.
Okay, we'll get to it.
But Group E, you got. I'd say this is one of the lesser groups that people are going to be interested in. You don't really have. I mean, you have France in there, along with Switzerland, Honduras, and Ecuador. Not a lot of, aside from France, not a lot of star power out there. The Swiss play good defense. They're tough to score on. I think they'll advance, and I also think France will be the number one seed out of there.
Switzerland, they have a good coach. Bright guy. He coached Bayern Munich, very successful. So they're going to be well organized. They're going to play very well. At the same time, I'm very interested in the Ecuador-Honduras matchup because the funny thing is the coach of Ecuador is from Honduras. And there's a lot of rivalry between the two nations. So it'll be interesting to see how they're going to match up against each other. And worth noting, now that we're in Virginia, on Honduras you have Andy Nahar, who is a product from Virginia, and he'll be playing in the World Cup.
And just for betting purposes, Honduras has the worst odds to win the World Cup at 1,500 to 1.
Nice. We always like long shots on this show. I mean, the favorites, we usually like to try to figure out a way to try to beat them. What are the odds on Brazil?
Brazil's 3-1.
3-1?
Yeah, number one
On the
favorite
favorite.
right there, yep.
Yeah, it's not bad. I mean, I bet that there's probably going to end up getting driven down from everybody in Brazil trying to bet on the home team to win it. 3-1 seems like pretty good money. And if that was horse racing, that'd be a pretty good bet. Moving on to Group F here, we got Argentina, Bosnia, Herzegovina, Iran, and Nigeria. This is another one of the weaker brackets, isn't it?
Go ahead.
I tend to disagree with you. Well, Argentina is a strong team. Lionel Messi, enough said. Kun Aguero, enough said. Striker for Manchester City. The interesting thing about Argentina is Carlos Tevez, is not going to be playing in the World Cup. It's a player we're going to miss. He plays well, has a lot of grit. But Argentina, obviously the favorites. And I would say Bosnia and Herzegovina, this is their first World Cup. They almost made it to the last World Cup. They lost in the playoffs. They have some great strikers, Edin Dzeko, great players. And their team that has a lot of national pride. There was just a big flooding in Bosnia this past week. And so they're going to be playing for the whole country. The whole country is on their shoulders. So I think that's going to help propel them and play some good soccer.
They are very explosive. Very fun to watch.
Iran has no chance. Nigeria, no chance.
No, not in my opinion.
Yeah, so we can throw those two out so you can see Argentina and Bosnia advancing out of this bracket here. Moving on to Group G.
This is the group of death that we were talking about.
Group of death here. I was getting excited about the group of death here, man. That's why I'm going to jump ahead to it. Germany, Portugal, Ghana, and the USA. This is tough.
Yeah, you never know with the African countries. They're a crapshoot. Ghana has issues with just getting along as a team. They have so much talent, but the focus is always an issue with them. Germany, clearly one of the top favorites, aside from Brazil. In fact, if this tournament was being played in Europe, they would probably be the favorite. Portugal, obviously, Cristiano Ronaldo, top of his game right now. Although coming back from, he's slightly injured right now, but still, he's one of the best players, injured or 100%. He's one of the best players out there in this tournament. And then, of course, you have the Americans who, honestly, you're getting a lot of hype from the media around here about them, but I honestly don't see them collecting more than 3 points tops in this group stage, and I don't see them advancing.
I agree with Timmy. The U.S. just doesn't have the experience or the caliber of players to make it through. This is the toughest group of the tournament. Their defense is not very strong. I was reading an article today about how they have no experienced defenders in the back besides the goalkeeper, Tim Howard. And going up against Germany's attacking force, going against Portugal's attacking force, the U.S. will just be outmatched.
And Ghana owns them. Let's be serious. Ghana owns them. And they play Ghana in the first match, and a loss there just completely will deflate the team, and it'll be 3 and out. See you later.
We call them gonorrhea on this show.
Well, they own us, so I don't know what that makes us.
But USA. I mean, they're always a bunch of tough fighters there. I mean, so are you saying you're saying they're a lesser experienced team this year?
They are. They don't have a lot of their stars. Don't even play in Europe anymore.
Who are some of their top stars there that Americans should be familiar with when they're watching the games?
Landon Donovan, the hero from 4 years ago, Clint Dempsey, Michael Bradley. All 3 players are in the MLS. And the MLS is a league which is growing, but you cannot compare the level of competition to that of playing the top level in Europe. You need the experience in this type of tournament. In the U.S., we're all rooting for the team to do well, and really, it's a marketing tool, it's a PR tool for MLS. This is MLS's way of showing, look at the domestic product that we're producing, and this is the level of soccer, it's improving, but at the same time, it's not, you can't win the World Cup with this squad.
But what about Howard, though? He's a pretty good goalie, isn't he?
Yeah, but this isn't Henrik Lundqvist we're talking about. This isn't NHL. This is, it's 11 guys out there, so.
And even if the U.S. were to make it, then they're going to play against Belgium.
Okay, well, let's talk about Group H, and this is the final group here, and then we'll get to our picks for the end of the show here. We have Belgium, Algeria, Russia, Korea. To me, this looks like a pretty straightforward bracket, and I don't even really follow soccer as closely as you guys do.
If you don't follow soccer, then you haven't really heard about Belgium because they haven't made the World Cup in a while. Euro Cup, they really haven't made any noise, but this team is stacked. This team is very talented. They are going to fly through this group stage. They're going to come out number 1 in this and get a chance to perhaps maybe play the U.S. if the U.S. surprises people and get the 2 seed. But this is definitely one of the.
I completely agree with Timmy. And the other team that I think would do well would be Russia. They have a good coach in Fabio Capello. Though it's interesting and worth noting that only 1 player on the Russian squad plays outside of Russia. This is entirely, except for him, a Russian team players who all play in Russia. So it'll be interesting to see how they do on this level.
Let's get down to our knockout stages.
Let's get down to the picks here. Those are always fun to look at here. So we'll move on to the final picks. We're going to break them down by who's going to win each of the 8 groups here. We've got each one of us have picked 2, so the first 2. The way that it works for these games is each pool, you have A versus B, C versus D, E versus F, and G versus H playing each other. So like 1 from A will play 2 from B, and 2 from A will play 1 from B, and then so forth through the bracket. It's actually pretty simple and straightforward, and it's pretty easy for anybody to understand that has followed any type of playoff sports at all. Pitar, you're first on the list here, man. Let's go through your picks here, starting in Group A, or take us through them.
I'm just going to tell you who the last 4 teams are going to be. Make it simple for you.
Okay.
It's going to be Brazil versus Spain in the final. And to give them competition, it's going to be Germany. And
well, hold on. Brazil's going to play Spain in the semifinals, though, or in the quarterfinals.
The final is going to be Brazil versus Spain. The way that the brackets are lined up, they're the 2 best teams. I feel they played last year in the Confederations Cup, and Brazil just wiped the floor with Spain. Again, this is Brazil playing on home soil in front of their home fans. They need to win this World Cup. The last time they hosted it, they lost in the final. The hope of the entire nation is on their shoulder. They have a great lineup of players, and Spain is an aging squad. They're going to put up a tough fight, but it's going to be Brazil.
Yeah, I agree with Pitar here. And to save some time, I mean, the bottom line is there are 4, maybe 5 teams that are going to be there at the end, and they're Brazil, Germany, Argentina, Spain, and I actually think Italy, because Italy, the Italians are always there. I think Spain, they can't. It's going to be tough for them to continue this amazing run that they've been on these last, what is it now, almost 8 years, or longer than that. But if I'm going to stray from Pitar's picks, I'm going to say that Italy is actually going to knock off Spain in the quarterfinals, and my final is actually Brazil and Argentina. Even without Tevez, I think that I'm looking at geographic location as a factor in this tournament. I think the South American teams will thrive, and I think Messi's clear cut the best player, I think, in this tournament. I think we can agree on that. And well, maybe
Cristiano.
not. Oh, boy.
Isn't Messi getting old yet, man?
No,
He's been around for a while.
No,
but I'm Brazil-Argentina final, and I'm with Pitar with Brazil winning it all.
I would love to see Brazil-Argentina final. There's a lot of history, a lot of bad blood. The 2 teams hate each other. They last played, well, in 1990 they played in a semifinal, and it was a great competition, great classic game. At the end, Maradona's Argentina, they out-edged Brazil into great rivalry. It's just something you want to watch, like Redskins, Cowboys, World Cup. It's going to be great. So even if it happens, I'm rooting for it.
Yeah.
There's going to be some great matchups.
Brazil is not going to disappoint. They are going to. You talk about a lot of pressure. We're talking about Brazil here. It's a party 24/7 in Brazil. They have no pressure. They're going to be there in the final. Pencil it in. Whether they win or not, I don't know, but they're going to be there in the final.
And European teams, they don't play well in South Europe.
Right.
It's South America. It could be the weather. It's a lot warmer. They're used to a colder climate.
It is a hot time of the year down there, right?
If you're going to bet on a European team, go with the Italians. They're 22-1. I think it's good money. You're talking about a team that is consistently there. 5 of their starters play for Juventus, who has just steamrolled through the Italian league this year. So
I think that Belgium will be the surprise. I think Belgium, if anybody puts up a fight, it'll be Belgium. I'm not sure they have the experience at this level for this young squad to be able to pull through, but they're going to make this interesting. So if you like a long shot, if you like a good story, I'll go to Belgium.
I think I'm starting to jump on this Belgian bandwagon now.
You just like Belgian beer. That's the only reason you're jumping.
I really don't. I do. Their beer is good. You're right. I mean, Brazilian beer, it's not there. But I like German spirits. Obviously, from the green bottle. With the deer on the front. But so I do have a soft spot. And so Germany will have to play Belgium in the next round, I think. But I'm starting to jump on this Belgian bandwagon here. I think there's so much pressure on Brazil, and you guys just shake your head and say, oh, they're the home team, the home field advantage, and everything. But there's a lot of pressure, and I think the teams like that get cocky. I think you have a lot of egos.
They're always cocky.
They're very good players.
They're never. There's no pressure. They're always cocky.
You've seen it happen before.
No, with Brazil, no, you haven't.
And the fact this is in Brazil.
And sports in general is what I'm talking about.
But the fact this is in Brazil makes a huge difference. And let's talk about Brazil's squad for 1 second. This is a squad that's able to not bring in Ronaldinho. They don't need to bring in Kaká. They need to bring in Robinho because they have so many good players. They have so much depth that they can afford to just not bring players to the tournament who have won the Golden Ball in the past. These are 2 Golden Ball winners, which did not bring into the tournament because they're so good. They have so many good players.
And just for the viewers, Golden Ball is
Best player in the world for that year.
And it's also what the trophy looks like that you win at the end of the tournament. It's got a golden ball on top.
A little bit.
It does.
Yeah.
Isn't it not a golden ball?
Yeah, it is.
It's a golden ball.
It's like the Earth, but
So.
Okay, well, it's going to definitely be a fun time. It's always a fun tournament to watch here. This is coming up, the FIFA World Cup, June 12th to July 13th. So, a month of soccer, man. Are you going to see every single one of these games?
Yep. Didn't miss one last time. You?
I missed a few last time because I was involved in a political campaign, but it was worth doing my civic duty to miss it.
So, what is the schedule of these games? Are they beyond?
Well, it's in Brazilian time zone, which is only an hour ahead of us. So it's not like you got to wake up at 4 a.m. to watch these games or anything like that.
It's going to be like 1 to 4, 4 to 7, like NFL
noon,
schedule?
You're going to see noon. You're going to see 3. You're going to see the latest game. What starts at 5, 6,
Something like that.
Yeah.
So basically, the entire afternoon.
So there's no excuse to miss a game if you're a diehard soccer fan. That's what we're saying.
So, are you taking days off of work to watch these games?
Yeah, absolutely.
You absolutely will.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you love soccer, you have to. There's no other. I mean, it comes once every 4 years.
Can you watch them on DVR?
Why? So then you can find out through your friends on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram who won the game.
But can't you just turn those things off, Timmy, for like 5 minutes?
The hardest thing in the world is to stay off of social media and not find out scores of the games.
Yeah.
It's pretty much impossible. Where are you guys be watching the games?
Maybe 4 courts in Arlington.
Probably in DC.
In DC somewhere?
Lucky Bar, the best sports bar in DC.
Okay, so 4 courts. Maybe we get something going over there for the fans out there to come out and watch the games in Arlington, Virginia. 4 courts. See, Timmy, I'll definitely come out to watch a couple of those games with you. I like the early morning games, but I guess we're not going to have that.
I'll have the
this time.
Spartan helmet on for the Greek game.
Are you going to wear the white T-shirt also?
All right, Phil.
All right, man. Are the Patriots going to win the Super Bowl this year?
Going off topic, yes, we are going to win the Super Bowl this year.
All right, man. Hey, Patar, good to see you again, man.
Thanks for having us, Phil.
Timmy, thanks for showing up in all your white clothes.
Hey,
we appreciate
thanks.
that.
White party, my
you look
house.
like a ghost, but it's always great to see the ghost of Tim fight us back in studio here, man. It's great to see both of you guys again, and we'd like to thank Steve Mullen for directing the show tonight. And we'll see all you guys next time. Enjoy the World Cup, and we'll see you next time for some other sports action on Fantasy Sports Review. Goodbye, everybody.